Today's mini lecture is going to be on the chi-square test of independence. So what is that? So the chi-square test of independence for us is used to actually determine if there is a significant relationship between two categorical, or you could say nominal, variables. All right, let's get into our first example. Our example 1 says, in March of 2016, the Pew Research Group surveyed 1,569 Americans aged 16 and older about their reading habits. The respondents were asked if they had read a book either all or part of the way through in the past 12 months. They were also asked about their education. So using a 0.05 significance level, let's test if reading a book in the last 12 months is independent of education level. Okay, so looking at this, we're giving this table. So the first things we want to do is identify our null and alternative hypotheses. So if we were to write this out, H naught, the null hypothesis would be that reading a book in the past 12 months, is actually independent of education level. All right, and then we want to go ahead with our alternative hypothesis. So in a similar way, we would just say that reading a book in the past 12 months, and in this case, we'll say it is dependent of one's education level. So now we have our null hypothesis and our alternative hypothesis. So next we'll need to go to StatCrunch. That's the technology of choice I'm going to use in this video. It's going to be StatCrunch, and we're going to type this table that we see here into the spreadsheet. Okay, so I'll identify these columns. This will be the education level. And again, this is from the table that was on the original question. So you may want to rewind back so you can see what's being typed in here. So we have education level, yes or no. And the three rows, we'll type in high school or less, some college, and college degree or more. So that'll be what we have for this row. High school or less, some college, college degree or more. All right, and now I just have to go ahead and type in the values. I think it was 339, 308, and 562, and 203, 78, and 79. All right, that looks about right. So just making sure I didn't enter any incorrect values. All right, so after the values are typed into the spreadsheet, we'll go to the Stat tab and go right down to Tables. Next, we'll go to Contingency, and then since we have it summarized in the table, with Summary. Okay, so then we'll select our columns. We'll select yes and no. And then we'll go ahead and work through this. We'll go down to the display and we'll click on expected count. Back up to row labels. Row labels should be at education level. And it looks fine. We'll go ahead and click on compute. All right, so once we click on compute, here is our output. So we have this here. We have a table of values here, and then we have the p-value, which is important for us. And then we have the chi-squared value. The p-value is less than 0.0001, and the chi-squared value is 107.06426. All right, so these are important for us. And now I'll go back to the other screen and list these. So now I've copied and pasted the output from our chi-square calculations back to this screen. So I'm going to make some comparisons here after I write down some initial information. So it looks like chi-squared, our chi-squared value, it's 107.1. It looks like our p-value is less than 0.0001. All right, and then the last thing we need to do is go ahead and make a decision based on the information that we have. So the decision here is based on the p-value, which we stated was less than 0.00001. And our alpha, that alpha was determined initially as 0.05. 0.05. So looking at this and comparing those two, since our p-value is less than alpha, then that tells us to go ahead and reject H naught, reject that null hypothesis. So we reject the null hypothesis. And then after that, maybe a lot of times we like to make a quick statement, right? Our statement can be something like the sample data suggests that reading a book in the last 12 months is not independent of education level. The next problem states that the youth survey consists of a nationally representative sample of youths who were 14 to 20 years old as of December 31st, 1999. This data set tracks the age, height in inches, weight in pounds, gender, and self-reported how would you describe your weight. Multiple choice answers for the individuals. Use the data to determine if gender affects the student's opinion of their body image. Let alpha equal 0.05. So the data that I'm getting is from the National Longitudinal Youth Survey. This is a data set within StatCrunch, and I'll leave the link to it if you want to use it and play around with it and replicate what I'm doing here. I'll leave the link in the comments area or the description area of this video. So we start off with our hypotheses. H naught, our null hypotheses, will be gender does not affect the student's opinion of their body image. And then our alternative hypothesis will be gender affects the student's opinion of their body image. Okay, so next I'm going to take this National Longitudinal Youth Study data and upload it into StatCrunch. So here's the data loaded into StatCrunch. So we're going to go to the Stat tab, down to Tables, over to Contingency, and this time, since we have all the data right here at hand. It's not summarized in a table like before. This time we're going to click with data. And clicking with data, the row variable is going to be gender. The column variable will be how would you describe your weight. Then I'll go down to display, and I like to display the expected count. And this is a chi-square test for independence. And we'll go ahead and compute. And here we have the output. I'll post this output on the previous page. So here are the important values that we need to look at. We see that the chi-square is 331 point, we'll say 0.2, and our p-value is less than 0.0001. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a decision. And that'll be based upon that p-value being 0.0001, and our alpha, as designated in the beginning of the problem, 0.05. Well, our p-value is less than alpha, therefore we will be we'll reject our null hypothesis. We reject that null hypothesis. So maybe we'll make a statement that says something like the sample data suggests that gender affects the student's opinion of their body image. And this is our conclusion for this problem.